Hey, what's up, you guys, and welcome back to Model Behavior. It's Macy. I have not recorded in a bit. I honestly think it's been like almost 3 weeks since I last recorded an episode, but thank you for giving me the time off. Honestly, it was really nice. To be very real, the weather got really good here, and so instead of, spending my days after work filming, I I've just been out and about. I've been playing a lot more tennis, which has been fun. I'm trying to think what else. Work has gotten really busy. Not so much this week. This week it's finals week at CSU, so like everybody that I work with on projects and stuff are really busy. I'm not teaching this semester, so it's a pretty laid back week for me. My lab tech has a week off, so she can take her finals. That kind of stuff. I know I don't really talk about my job on here. Just because once I get going talking about a research project, I really get going. So I kind of have to rein myself in. So that's a little bit tough, but let me know if you guys want to hear more about my research stuff. I did just get an email right before this that a project that we're thinking of doing just got approved. So that's going to be a really cool study, and I'm excited to see what we find. So I'm really excited to get going. Sophie, my lab tech, she's going to start for the summer probably in another week or two. And so I'm going to have her working on that project, and we're going to be in the lab a lot more. So I'm kind of excited to get back into the lab. I really have not been in the lab much at all this semester. I'm mostly just working on analysis and writing. And so my day to day is really not that exciting. I feel like the best part about my job is the lab work. And I just haven't been doing much of that, which I can't complain. I love what I'm doing, but it's just like less fun to look at and to talk about. So, anyways, that's happening. I literally spent most of April ill. I think I was good for like a week of April, and then I got sick again. And I think it was in the last episode I was talking about how I had strep throat. Went to urgent care and they gave me a strep test, and they were like, no, it's negative, it's viral. So I spent the last 3 weeks with a super sore throat. I would say 2 of those weeks, it was just like the worst sore throat of my life. And then the third week, it was sore, but it was a little bit more manageable. But if I sound a little raspy and mysterious, it's because I still have my little sore throat thing. I have started going back to my workout classes, which I missed so badly. But I posted a TikTok about this like a couple weeks ago. I went to a yoga sculpt class when I was starting to feel better, and I almost passed out. Okay. And you get used to the heated workouts, but I'm a person that sweats a lot. Like a lot of times people like going to heated workouts because they don't sweat. And so it like makes them sweat. I sweat so much and I don't need help. Okay. So like heated classes are just not good for me. And so I almost passed out. So I posted a TikTok asking the yoga sculpt girls what I should do to like not pass out. And so the obvious things, they were like, okay, like drink plenty of water before, which I definitely could have done better at drinking more water. They said electrolytes during, so I'm ready for that. And then also make sure you eat a little snack before. And then also don't do burpees. If they have you do burpees, do something else like high knees or butt kicks or jumping jacks or something, because apparently your head is never supposed to be below the level of your heart in those types of classes if you're doing like a fast movement like that, because it can really like drop your blood pressure and make you feel so woozy. I'm not even kidding you guys. Like when I was rolling, I felt like that kind of throughout class. And then when I was rolling up my mat after class, I literally felt like I was going to fall over. Like it took everything in me to not fall over. I literally had to pause. It was bad. And let's see what else. Oh, I went to Dom Dalla last weekend, girl. And so tickets for that were freaking expensive. Okay. I think I got like GA2. Well, Emily did because the site was like crashing. It was like totally sold out. And I got GA2 and the tickets were $128. I'm like, ugh, like between Nuggets tickets and concerts and shows and skiing, I just have spent so much money in the past 6 months. It's nauseating. But honestly, this is the kind of stuff that Colorado's known for. So I'm happy that I'm taking advantage of it, because when my contract is up in a couple years at CSU, who knows where I'm going to end up. And I have a sneaking suspicion it's not going to be at CSU. Like, I don't think I'm going to be staying in Fort Collins. So we'll see what happens. The job market right now is obviously really bad, especially if you work in research. I think our department got a third of its funding cut. And so it's really not a great time to be looking for jobs in research right now. So thankfully, I have a couple more years left on my contract, and hopefully everything can kind of like die down. It's been insane. But also, my friends that work in the private sector have been getting laid off like left and right. It's just like such an unstable economic time right now. And so yeah, I don't know. The one thing I will say is I've been really good at not shopping online because the tariffs, girl. Everything is so expensive right now. So I'm like, that's okay. I don't need to buy anything right now. I have been working on my thrifting though, and so that's been really fun. I am hosting a girls meetup in Denver on Saturday, and I'm really excited about that because I was getting some comments from girls on my posts about my brother saying like, wait, can we just like do something like this without boys there? And there's definitely a few women's social clubs in Denver already. So I was like, I don't feel like there's really like a niche for me in that market, unless I had this idea that we do it earlier in the night and kind of use it as a pregame so like girls can go do stuff after if they want to. And that is like my bread and butter because I hate staying up late. Like, I love being like freshly lotioned, like skincare on, humidifier on, my new humidifier, listening to ASMR by like 9 p.m. Like, I know that's really early, but like, I just love a good night's sleep. Okay. So I'm hosting like a pregame. I'm calling it like a warm up for girls in Denver on Saturday. And at first the post didn't really gain too much traction. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But I was like, I'm leaving it up because I said I was going to do it. So I'm going to do it. But then the past few days, it's picked up a little bit more, and I've gotten quite a few girls reaching out saying that they're going to be there. And so I'm like really excited, but I'm a little nervous. So I texted a few of my friends to see if they could come. Usually with stuff like this, it's like really hit or miss, especially on the weekends, because especially now that it's getting nice, people are getting up into the mountains, you know, having fun. But a few of my friends are going to be there. I've been really loving TikTok because of like the community of girls that are on there. I feel like this, like my target audience, I guess I have one now. I don't know, but they're all like super friendly, super awesome girls. And I'm like, dang, this is so fun. Like, this is a cool way to meet people I never would have met if it weren't for the internet. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a really fun thing, but I'm kind of balancing how often do I post, what type of content do I post, because my day-to-day life, I'm all over the place. I'm like in the lab doing research, or I'm filming a self-tape, or I'm playing tennis, or I'm, you know, outdoors doing outdoor activities. So I just feel like I'm usually all over the place. And especially this summer, I don't think like my audience is ready for my content this summer because it's like my life does a 180. Like, I go from being like a fashion girly, being obsessed with makeup and just like having nights out on the town with my friends, to being in Montana with no cell service, teaching students, like hiking 10, 15 miles every day. And that is very much like my reconnecting with my roots granola girl summer that I love so much. I just feel like my content is going to be all over the place. I'm like, content. I'm a content creator. No, I'm not. I have 900 followers, but those 900 followers are some of the coolest girls I've ever met. Okay. I'm like, this is so fun. I love it. Anyway, so hosting the warm up on Saturday, and I'm stoked to see who comes by. I think it's going to be really fun. But in honor of that event happening on Saturday, I wanted to talk about making female friends in your 20s and 30s. I have a list of 5 points that I put together of how you can make female friends in your 20s and 30s. So I am 30. I turned 30 in December. And I know this, and I know like a lot of people know this, that it can be very hard to make friends organically as you get older. People just kind of get in their jobs or their careers and they're not like branching out a lot. I feel like in college it's really easy because you have this concentration of people that are just usually single, like don't have a lot of commitment, can just drop everything on a moment's notice to go hang out with you, which I think is a trademark of being single. I'm not going to lie, because with my wifed up or married friends, I need to give them 3 months minimum notice for a hangout, or else it's not going to happen. And I'm not saying it's all of them at all, but I feel like a lot of my friends tend to get kind of stuck in that cycle, and I'm not faulting them for it. I feel like if I had a boyfriend that I was just super into, I would want to spend tons of time with him too. But I've really been trying to be intentional about like, okay, when I do get in a relationship, how do I maintain these female friendships? How do I make sure that I am feeding into them and that it's reciprocated and that we're keeping up with each other? So I was really wanting to talk about that, especially with this event happening. So my first point that I've learned is that you need to become the kind of person that you would want to be friends with. I would say probably around last year at this time, I was dating that guy that I really liked, the hockey player, and things were kind of starting to go downhill. And I was like, oh no, I think we're going to break up. And so I was like, dang, I need more friends. So my first point of becoming the kind of person you would want to be friends with, I really tried to embody around this time last year. I've kind of always done that, but I really made it intentional last year of like, okay, when I see myself having a friend group, what are we doing? What types of activities are we doing together? Like, what kinds of things do we talk about? And I wanted to kind of embody that a little bit more. Obviously, I'm still being myself, but I was just like, had like an intention in mind. When you have like a specific goal in mind of like, okay, I want to make more friends and my friends do this. And so then you have to put yourself in positions and situations to meet the type of girls that you would want to be friends with. And therefore you are becoming that type of person. And then I was also like, okay, my friends would be super welcoming, listen really well, just be like not one dimensional, have like a variety of hobbies. And so I obviously am like similar already, but it just really being more intentional about it really, really helped me. And so, yeah, that's how I made a lot of my friends in Denver. I went on this one camping trip for my friend Avery's social club. They do a lot of different events. But she had planned this camping trip. And so it was right when I got back from teaching in the summer. I was like, I'm going to do this because the whole last summer, I did not have a brat summer. Okay. And I was so bummed about it. I was literally like crashing out. I didn't have like a full crash out, but like my mental health was terrible. After that relationship ended, I was like, I'm never going to meet anybody. Like, I can't believe this happened. And like looking back on it, I'm like, girl, like it's okay. But just for me, those types of feelings don't come around very often for me. So the biggest thing that I was mourning when it ended is I knew it was going to be like a really long time before I found someone else. Like for me, it's always like, it doesn't even have to be like a full-blown relationship. Even just someone I was dating that I really liked, if that ends, it's going to be minimum a year until I find somebody else. It just takes me such a long time to heal and feel open to connection again. It's so bad. Because if I had known that I would meet another guy in like a couple of months, I would have been like, oh, this sucks, but I can mourn it now and then get back out there. But I know myself, okay? And so during that time, I was like, okay, well, I don't want to date right now, but I do want to make more friends. So I went and put myself out there and went on this camping trip with 8 girls that I'd never met before. And it was really fun. And a lot of the girls that were on that camping trip, I'm really good friends with now. I've been to a couple of events that Avery's put on since then, but I just feel like the camping trip was really good. Like there's nothing that like makes you bond with someone more than like an overnight trip. You guys, like we were stuck in cabins with no Wi-Fi, no cell service. And so all we had to do was talk to each other and play games and like eat charcuterie. Thanks, Soraya, for bringing the charcuterie board. It was amazing. But yeah, so that really helped me. That one singular decision to go and put myself out there and go to this camping trip really helped me socially. I made so many friends, and I like to talk about it. I like to talk about friends like stocks. Like you got to diversify your portfolio. And so I am really blessed to say I have a lot of friends from a lot of different walks of life. And that's part of the reason why I love having that is because my friends just bring so many different perspectives. I feel like a lot of times, especially as adults, since we make friends with people that we encounter a lot, you don't have to be as intentional with those relationships because you always are around them. And then a lot of times you can also kind of put yourself in like this echo chamber of friends that all have like the same opinions, all have the same politics, all have the same views as you, all have the same backgrounds. And so sometimes I feel like it's really good if you can to have a really diverse friend portfolio, because you just learn so much from them. And like everybody's experiences are so different. And yeah, honestly, it's been really fun. I'm just like, this episode is just me talking about how awesome my friends are, but I do feel really blessed to have made those connections. So That leads me to my second point. I was already kind of talking about it, is do scary things and put yourself out there. So I've never been a stranger to doing things solo. Like I will go to the movies by myself. I'll take myself out to dinner. I've been to a couple concerts by myself, like that kind of thing. And that never has really intimidated me because I'm the kind of person where if I want to do something and nobody can make it, I'm going to do it anyway. Like I'm going to do it regardless if people can come or not. And so I've traveled by myself a ton. I think I've only taken flights with other people probably like 3 or 4 times in my life. I'm not even kidding. I am just like the queen of solo travel. Like being by yourself, being mysterious in an airport, the vibes are immaculate. Like you don't know where I'm going, like being the mysterious woman at the bar. Oh my gosh, it's the best. I love it. But when I talk about scary things, I mean things that push you outside of your comfort zone. So, like for me, my comfort zone, I'm pretty comfortable doing things by myself, but I wasn't as comfortable just striking up random conversations with people. A lot of times I'm like pretty guarded, especially as a woman, especially when I go to like sports by myself. Like, pretty much, let's see, I've gone to like 3 or 4 NBA games by myself, and pretty much every single game that I've been to, there's been a drunk man that approached me and not left me alone. And it really ruins my experience because I'm like, I got these seats last minute for a great price. I want to enjoy the game. Stop yapping in my ear. Your breath smells like liquor. You're sweaty. Get away from me. And so I really don't love that. So when it comes to men approaching me, I'm a little bit more guarded. I'm like, how much have you had to drink? Which is why tennis is fun because for the most part, everybody's like really sober and it's just like nice. But when it comes to making girlfriends in those settings, I have not been as intentional about that. So one way that I pushed myself outside of my comfort zone was to, and this is so easy for girls, like you literally just go up to them and say something about them that you like. Like literally, that is the easiest thing in the world. And I didn't realize how easy it was. But if you go up to a girl and you say, "Oh my gosh, I love your nail polish. What shade is that?" Or like, "Where did you get them done?" Like you can't just say, "Oh, I like this." You can, but like you can say like, "Oh, where did you get that?" And I saw this TikTok recently of this girl that did that. She went up to this girl that had these really cool cowgirl boots. And she was like, "I love your boots. I love your look. Where did you get the boots?" And the girl was like super gatekeepy and weird about it, which apparently they were from Urban Outfitters. Like, okay, geez, don't act like you're sourcing these boots from like Australia. Like, it's an urban girl. So that is obviously a risk. And so you have to be okay with like a little bit of rejection there, but just know, and this is something that I have really internalized, just know that if someone is rude to you, it has nothing to do with you. Like if you were being kind, it literally has nothing to do with you. I've talked about this before. I think I've talked about it in like my main character episode. I think it was like the first episode I ever recorded. But literally if someone is mean to you, if you're kind to them or say something nice to them and they like are hostile, it has nothing to do with you. They're just miserable. Like, oh my gosh. So, and don't try to understand what they're going through either. Like, I don't care if you're having a bad day. It's no excuse to be rude to someone, but some people are, and that is their flaw, and they're going to struggle in life because of that. Okay. But yeah, that was something that I really did that helped me start making friends. Like my friend Jenna from Cycle Bar, we were both doing ClassPass at the time. Jenna's now an unlimited member. So I'm like, RIP to our days in the back corner. But we had been to the same class probably like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and I was always sat next to her. So I just started talking to her, and that's how we became friends. I can't remember what I said. It was like something about the class or the instructor. I was like, "Oh, I hope the playlist is good today," or something. But that's how we became friends. And then we've been hanging out outside of Cycle Bar, and that's kind of just how friendships start. So that's pretty fun. My next point number 3, very important. Be consistent. Something that we take for granted when we're in college with those friendships is that you don't have to do much to maintain those friendships because you're always in the same place, you're always doing similar activities, and it's not very intentional. And that's why I think a lot of people struggle with maintaining adult friendships, is because they don't know how to be a consistent presence. And I would say the way that you maintain a friendship is very similar. I mean, in a little different way, very similar to the way that you maintain a relationship. Like, I imagine it's the same way, like when you've been married for a while and like the butterflies are worn off, but you made a lifelong commitment to this person, is just like being consistent and intentional about reaching out to them, asking how their day was, really listening to how their day was, asking follow-up questions. And I first really, I mean, this is something that a lot of people develop organically, but I first really like named it when I went on this really bad date back in January. It was like my first date of 2025. It was this Hinge guy. He was the most boring guy in the world. And I know this is like a Denver epidemic. And people will say, like, oh, it's like this in other cities too. And I believe that, but I have never experienced this level of horrific dating, horrific like quality of men since I moved to Colorado. Like Montana men, great manners, like I don't know, just really nice guys for the most part. If you're in Montana and you're like, no, I've dated some F boys, like, I'm sorry, like I don't know, but I'm generalizing. And then of course Wyoming, just like the nicest cowboys, like really sweet. And I moved down here, and I have not been, I have not met a population of men who wants you to be the man so badly like Denver men do. Like they literally expect you to reach out, expect you to make the plans. On the date, will ask you zero questions about yourself. They'll sit there like they're just in a daze, right? Like they've just been playing Fortnite for the last 3 days and they're just like comatose. Okay, we're back. My phone storage filled up again. It's been an ongoing issue with this phone. I was talking about that date that I went on with this guy that sucked in January, and my phone storage filled up, and I feel like it was just God's way of being like, okay, stop talking about him. Like he was the worst. Okay, so when I talk about consistency in friendships, it is doing the things you say you're going to do. It is committing to plans. Like people who don't follow through with things that they say they're going to do, and people that don't show up for you, not your friend, girl. You can still be friends with them, obviously, but you can't, like, you have to have a group of like 5 or 6 core girls. You don't have to have that many. You could even have like 1 or 2 that you just know are going to show up for you no matter what. And I'm very grateful that I have that in a lot of my close friends. Show up, be on time, be a good communicator, come through for your friends when they need you, and don't commit to things that you're not planning on going to. I feel like that's just like basic respect. But honestly, a lot of this comes from like my dating escapades down here. Like I was talking about, let's circle back to that. The men here in Colorado expect you to be the man and like want to be like taken care of and like expect you to do everything. And I'm like, let's talk about in a future marriage. I am all for an equal partnership, but at the end of the day, it is never going to be equal, okay? Because there is still a pay gap for women. Part of that is that a lot of companies have horrible maternity leave policies. This happens all the time, and I know that you can like take it to HR, but like sometimes women are like penalized for taking maternity leave. Like they're not assigned as big of projects when they come back. They're like seen as less capable because they have a young child at home. There's so much that goes into it. And also, if I am going to have your babies, if I'm going to bear your children, the least you can do is pay for my lunch, okay? Like the bar is so low, but the least you can do is show up on time to the date, like commit to a time and place ahead of time. Don't flake if something more fun comes along. Be consistent. And that same thing goes for friendships. Ooh. This is all flowing together pretty well. The fourth point that I have of making and maintaining female friendships in your 20s and 30s is beware of the frenemy. So this is something that obviously a lot of us dealt with in like middle school and high school. I thought I was kind of past that, but it's interesting how like the more friends you make, obviously statistically you're going to meet more of these girls just because you have a wider circle. But if they're like actively like taking low-key jabs at you when you're around your other friends, being like, oh, it's a joke, like, no, that's not funny, you're just insulting me. If you get any sort of a vibe that they're talking about you behind your back, the one thing I will say is if you have a friend that will gossip to you, you can know with like 100% certainty that they are also gossiping about you. Another way to spot a frenemy is if they go through friends really fast. Like if it seems like they're super, super tight with a few girls for like 4 to 6 months, and then they like have a falling out and then they move on to the next friend. Like girls that cycle through friends really, really fast like that, they're frenemies. And so I would just say like trust your intuition with that one. Don't force yourself to be around girls like that just because you think you're overreacting. Like as an adult, you really have the luxury of not being around certain people. Like now, if you work with them, obviously that's something a little more difficult to navigate and a little more nuanced. But when it comes to just like making friends out in the wild, you don't have to spend time with them. And honestly, you don't have to make it a big deal at all. I would say don't make it a big deal because a lot of times you'll have a shared friend group with that person. So you don't want to like blow it up and be like, I'm not friends with her anymore, because then that puts the rest of your friends in kind of a tough position. They're like, okay, well, do we invite you or do we invite her to things? And it can really cause a divide. So you can kind of just do like the slowly fading into the mist thing. Like if there are events that girl is your frenemy is also at, like don't make it a big deal. You can go, you can say hi, you can be cordial. Like it's not a big deal because all the rest of your friends are going to be there and you want to see them, right? Don't subject yourself to that too much. I would say go kind of 50-50, because if you sense yourself starting to feel insecure or feel anxious when you go to stuff like that and you didn't before, like that is your body's way of telling you like, hey, I don't think we should be around this crowd. And so I think you really need to listen to that. And that is the luxury of being older in your 20s and 30s, is that you can just like not be around them. It's not like in high school when you have to see the girls every single day and maybe they're on your sports teams or like in your club and you like have to fake it until you make it, or else they will literally ruin your life. Speaking from experience, that's the good part about adult friendships. You can just say bye. And you don't really have to have a rhyme or reason for it. You don't feel the need to explain yourself. And if you don't make it a big deal, there's no reason for you to explain yourself. Just like kind of slowly fade into the mist. And maybe you just don't see that friend group as frequently, or you just like hang out one-on-one with people from the friend group. Or like I said, you can go to events depending on how you're feeling about it. You can go to events and you can see your frenemy, say hi, whatever. And I don't really like the term frenemy because it is like, oh, this girl is my enemy. Like enemy is a two-way street. Like you both have to dislike each other. I would say like I feel pretty neutral towards girls that have been like that towards me. Like I feel very neutral because again, it goes back to like, this doesn't have anything to do with me. It has everything to do with her and her insecurities. So I don't like the term frenemy because I'm like, that is a two-way street. So I don't know what a good word to call it is. I know this is like so Gen Z of me, but I really love the term op. Like that girl is an op because they're opposing you. Like it's the opposition. And it doesn't imply as much mutual disdain. It's more just like, ah, she's such an op. And that sounds so bad. Sometimes I say that and my friends are like, what? I'm just like, I'm around college students all the time. Okay. I like learn this stuff months before they do, but I feel like at a certain point it's not funny. It's like, stop trying to be cute. But op is such a good word to describe a girl who's not the nicest to you, who you feel neutral towards but can do without and kind of stay away from. So okay. So this is kind of a switch from the frenemy point or the op point. Number 5, my last point, is do not be afraid to open up. I know you're like, oh, you just talked about how to spot girls who like have it out for you and that kind of stuff. Yes, but at the same time, you can't let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. Same with dating. Hold on, I have to reapply my lip gloss. I've been really obsessed with like glittery lip glosses again. I'm like regressed back to being 8 years old, but there's this Patrick Ta gloss that has been sold out for months and they finally restocked it and I got my hands on it. So ways that you can open up without oversharing, because oversharing is definitely a thing. I grew up in church. I still go to church. And I feel like anytime you go to like a women's Bible study, there's always that one girl that just like trauma dumps on you and you don't really know her. And she just like shares all of her lore all in one sitting. And I'm like, that's a bit much. Like, I feel like it's the same feeling I get when I get like love bombed. When I'm dating, you're like, okay, I love that he feels comfortable to like give me all of these compliments, but something doesn't quite feel right. Something is weird here. And it gives you like some trepidation. And so that's what I equate this to, is like, yeah, don't like be that girl. But also, I think it's really important to open yourself up to those connections. Like, because if you don't open up to your friends, especially as you grow closer with them, how are they going to know how to support you when you're in times of crisis? Because that's part of the really important part of friendship, is that they're with you in the high points of your life and with the low points, and you're there for them. And so, like, I don't know. I just think it's really important to not close yourself off to that because, again, it's really important for your friends to understand who you are as a person so that they can support you and so that they understand. Let's say if you're being like a little like weird about something, instead of just like the friendship like dissolving because there's like a small disagreement, you have the ability to talk about it. And I think that all of my very close friendships are the same in that matter. We've had like significant events happen that we've like had disagreements and it's been pretty significant. But the one thing that all of my very close friends have in common is that we talked through it and we were able to like talk through it in a calm way without accusing, without pointing fingers, and we moved past it. And I think that once you go through that with a friend, it makes your friendship like 10 times stronger because you're like, okay, we can go through this. I trust that this person respects me enough to hear my side and also is assertive enough and trusts me enough to like tell their side. And I think that working through conflicts like that is like a really great way to be vulnerable with a friend because it forces you to like look inward and be like, okay, what are my insecurities that like made me react this way? And obviously your friend might be able to see that, but like they're not going to tell you right off the bat unless you ask, which is a very difficult question to ask anybody. Like, what is one way that I can be a better friend to you? My pastor talked about it in a sermon at church, probably like it was like this fall sometime. It was all about friendship. And we always have this thing called a weekly practice that we do. And so obviously like in the Bible, there's like a lot of instances of like really good friendships, but the weekly practice was to go to your closest people in your life, like your friends, and ask them how you can be a better friend to them. And that was so scary for me because I'm like, I don't want to get my feelings hurt. But I'm like, do I want to grow stronger? Do I want to be more vulnerable and open up to these people more? Then I have to put myself out there by asking that question. And so I asked that question, and like obviously my friends were like so loving and so kind about it. No one was like pointing fingers, and that's how I was like, these are my girls. I love them so much. But there were like a few things that we talked about that I was like, yeah, I could do that better. And I'm not saying I get in fights with my friends very often at all. Like I said, with all my close friends, I really can only think of like one fight in our entire friendship that we worked past. And so I'm not like, it's pretty abnormal for me to have these kinds of disagreements, but it is a really great way to open up and be more vulnerable, is like being open and humble and willing to move past it without pointing the finger. I have some friends that are not my closest friends, obviously, but if you kind of tell them like, hey, this happened and like I know it's probably not what your intention was, but it really hurt me, and you just tell them that, they get really upset. Okay, they're like, I don't want to hear it, blah blah blah. And again, that's insecurity, okay, and it's immaturity. So don't have friends like that in your closest friend group. You can obviously run in similar circles and stuff, but if your friend, this girl that you're assuming is your number one closest friend, like gets mad when you tell them that something that they did hurt you, they should not be your closest friend. Hopefully one day they mature and you guys can grow closer. But I would say you kind of have to downgrade them from a level 5 friend, which is your closest circle, to maybe like a level 4, even a level 3 friend. And I think this is like a bonus point that is something worth talking about with friendships. You don't have to be super tight with every single girlfriend that you have. I would definitely say like you have your level 5 friends. It's like a Venn diagram, but not really. It's like a bunch of circles, okay? And the inner circle is like your level 5 friends that you can trust anything to, you can be emotionally vulnerable with. Like you would, if you're like crashing out, you can trust that you could call them, that they'll pick up, that they'll listen to you. You would be there for them as well. In that same capacity. And then like it kind of goes down from there until it hits your level 1 friends, which are people that you see and you like, not quite acquaintances, like you see on a regular basis, you talk to them. I would say like some of the ladies from my tennis team are level 1 friends at this point. Some of them are level 2, some of them are level 3, some of them are even level 4. But yeah, I think that understanding that you don't have to be super tight with every single girlfriend that you have is important, because people are coming from different backgrounds. They have different priorities in life. And when you frame it as like, okay, this girl is a level 2 friend, then stuff that they do that hurts your feelings, it actually like hurts less, because you're like, okay, they are not my closest people. So like they wouldn't necessarily know that this was something that upset me, or like they're not even thinking about it. But then you're like, okay, no, they're a level 2 friend. So I don't have to get upset about this because like they're not my inner circle. And I think that that really, really helps with confidence in making female friendships. That like anybody can be your friend. Not everybody is going to be a level 5 friend. And that is okay. It doesn't mean that you're not friends. That was a really good point. Good job, me. Okay, I thought of something else while I was talking, but I don't want to yap for too long here. Um, I don't know. Consistency. One other point I want to make about consistency is just like make sure that you're checking in on your girls. Make sure that you're reaching out. I saw this TikTok recently. It was like, I know this girl is my best friend because we cannot talk for months and then come back and pick up like nothing happened. And I was like, I don't think that girl's your best friend, because if you could go 5 months without talking to your girl and you don't care enough to call them up and catch up, are they really your best friend? I really hate that, because that's been like a trope for a while now of like, we can just pick up right where we left off. Like, yeah, that's your friend, but that's like a level 2 friend or level 1 friend even. That is a level 1 friend. Like, your close friends, if you're wanting to like maintain and foster like level 5 friendships, you need to be checking in on them. Like my friends, this is a little overkill, but like my close girlfriends, I'm hearing from one of them at least every day. Like we're either sending vlogs back and forth on Snapchat, or I just get a little text, or I get a phone call. My friend Lindsay called me the other day because I hadn't vlogged her in a bit. This was when I was sick, and is a little abnormal for me. And she, mind you, she just started a new job and it is very demanding. She has a super long commute in the mornings. Like she is working long hours. It's been great for her, but she's busy, okay? And before she worked from home, so it was a little easier for her to like keep in contact with me. But her new job, she can't really be on her phone. And so she called me the other day just to catch up. And I was like, it literally made me want to cry. And I told her that. I was like, that is so special that like you didn't hear from me. And so you like called to catch up, even though I'm like crying. Why am I crying in the club right now? It was so special to me that she like, I cry every time I talk about my friends. Like it's so bad. I don't know. I'm just like, ooh, I know it's not the same thing, but one day I hope to meet a man that like loves me like half as much as my girlfriends do, because like they are like such special human beings. But anyways, she called me just to catch up, and she was like, I haven't heard from you, so I just wanted to see how you're doing. And that was so special to me. I also have like my friend Abby, who lives in Alaska. She is like, I think I've talked about her before, but she's the state botanist for the Tongass National Rainforest. And her job, there's literally in that rainforest in Alaska, it's so remote that there's like so many plants that just haven't been discovered yet. So her job is to like fly out on bush planes and like kayak to these little islands and like discover and describe new plants. I went to grad school with her. But she just had a baby not too long ago. And so she has a new baby. She's already back at work. Like between that and like all of her freaking outdoor adventures that they do together as a family. Oh my gosh, they took Haley is her name. They took her like shrimp fishing the other day, and the pictures of her like baby life jacket and like showing her the fish that they caught was so cute. But even Abby, who's like all the way over on the other side of the country and is so busy all the time, she will still take time to check up on me from time to time. But I hear from my friends, like you hear they check up on you. It's not because you need something from them, or it's not because you're like, oh wait, I should ask this person to go to this concert with me because I have no one else to go with. It's because they genuinely want to see how you're doing. And that is a hallmark of a really good friendship, because friendships, like I compared it to long marriages, they take work to maintain in your 20s and 30s. It is not an easy task. And you really have to be intentional about reaching out, even when it's like, I don't know, even when it's just like not convenient for you. Like with Lindsay, it was definitely not convenient for her to sit on the phone and talk to me for an hour, but she did it because she wanted to check up on me. And so, oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm going to start crying again. I was going to talk more about some of my friends, and I'm like, no, it's going to make me cry. I can't do this. But anyways, literally the two things that can tear me up is like the thought of my future children. Like, oh, I can't talk about that. Like it makes me so happy, but like also so emotional. And then also my friends. Like I will cry about you. Like, I don't know. And that's what I think, that's something that's really important also in friendships, is to not take things for granted. Especially like when your friends get older and they have babies and they don't have as much time, like acknowledging that they took time out of their day to like contact you and see how you're doing, that they're thinking about you, is so special. And it's really important to call out those good things when you see it, like say it out loud, or just say, wow, thank you so much for calling, and make sure that that's acknowledged, because a lot of times we kind of get used to that treatment, which is great. Like it's awesome to have friends like that, and it's awesome to like expect that from your close friends. But if you're not doing the same thing, girl, you gotta reciprocate. It is a two-way street. Adult friendships are a two-way street. And if it's a one-way street and you're always the one that's reaching out, like maybe it's time to downgrade that girl from a level 4 friend to like a level 2 friend, okay? Because It's not worth it. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your energy to be pouring into something where you're not getting anything back. So, not saying that it's like a transactional thing, but like that is friendship. Like you're there for them and they're there for you, and that is part of where that bond comes from. What was I talking about? I don't know. I've been yapping for a really long time. I always sit down and I'm like, oh, I don't feel like filming right now. I don't feel that chatty. And then like probably like 10 minutes in, I always cut out like the first 10 minutes of like every episode, because 10 minutes in, I like lock in and I just get going and I'm just like in the chattiest mood. So this has been fun. No crazy stories to share. Length and width report really quick. I've been on, how many dates have I been on? I've been on a couple of dates since we last talked. They were fine. And then I think definitely one, maybe two more dates coming up this weekend. It's just a lot of energy. Okay, I have one on Saturday potentially, and then I have the meetup, and then Sunday I have one. So probably won't be providing an update unless he does something particularly abhorrent that makes me be like, I'm never going to talk to him ever again. Then I will share. But usually the guys that I go on dates with that are like nice and like, you know, maybe we just didn't connect, or maybe they were like, you know, kind of so-so, but like they didn't do anything bad. I don't talk about those guys on here. Well, except for everybody was calling him LA pothole airport cornhole man. The guy from my best first date episode, like I talked about him because I only had good things to say. So I will only talk about you on this pod if I only have good things to say about you, or if you did something really horrible that needs to be called out and needs to be addressed, because we're calling out that poor behavior. And if I have no plans on seeing you again, like I'm not gonna like talk crap about you on my podcast and then be like, so guys, I did a thing. No, I will not do that. But yeah, actually LA airport pothole cornhole man from my best first date episode, he saw the episode, he watched it. I was a little embarrassed. I wasn't really expecting him to see it, but he literally, when I posted the reel on my Instagram, he like swiped up like within an hour of me posting it. But he said like, I'm glad that you thought the whole experience was as silly as I did. And I was like, great. So, but yeah, it was kind of embarrassing that he saw it. I think it's so funny how I'm literally putting this content out on the internet for everybody to watch. And then I just get so embarrassed when someone tells me that they watch it, as if that's not the whole point of this. I'm like, oh, you watched my podcast? Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Oh my gosh. That's so funny though. At Psycho Bar the other week, we had to write down one good thing that happened this week. And so then she like read them out during class, which I thought was really sweet. But the only thing I could think of, because that was right after I did the self-tape workshop with Benji DM'd me this morning. He was like, I listened to your podcast. And I was like, oh my gosh, but thank you, Benji. He's the one that ran the workshop. And so ever since like Micah was like, oh, I listened to your podcast, I was like, that was awesome. So I wrote it down because that's the only thing I could think of. And so like during class, the instructor's reading off the highlights of people's week, like, oh, I got a really big project done at work, or like, oh, like I went to my son's first soccer game, really sweet things. And then mine was like, someone told me they listened to my podcast. And so people were like cheering super loud for the other ones. And then when it got to mine, people were like, woo. They were like, that's so effing weird. And after that happened, I was like kind of embarrassed. I was like, oh. Yeah, that was kind of a weird thing to say. But yeah, I'm fully putting this content out publicly on the internet, and then I like get embarrassed when people tell me that they listen to it. Get a grip. But anyways, if you made it this far in the episode, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your patience while I took a few weeks off. It was a much needed break, and I'm happy to be back. And my challenge to you is to go put yourself out there with some female friends. Go up to the girl with like the best outfit in the coffee shop and give her a compliment. Who knows, maybe she could be your friend. Yeah. So I hope you guys have a really good weekend, and I hope you enjoy the good weather, and I can't wait to talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye.